Hello everyone, Sarah here at Three Little Potters, and today I'm going to be making some fairy houses, Raku fairy houses to be exact. So this building process could be the same for you if you're working with a mid-fire clay and just firing in your regular kiln. But for these, I'm going to be firing them in my Raku kiln. So while the roofs and the chimneys of these houses are going to be slab built, I usually, when I can, will throw the base so that it kind of gives me a speedy head start. So I'm going to take this lump of clay and I'm going to throw 10 bases. And my thought on this is that these fairy houses could work as incense burners, so I am going to have a bottom on it. If you've seen my alpine houses I do at Christmas time, those are sort of hollow underneath. This, I want to have an actual bottom and a cutout door that you could put your incense in, and then smoke would come up through the chimney. At least that's the hope. Or it could just be decorative. So my overall dimensions for these, I'm trying to just do like something that's obviously no wider than 5 inches and no taller than 6. Something definitely small. And I want these to be a little bit wonky. Yeah. Anything I can do to throw them off or make them look a little bit more like a organic shape you would find in the forest as you're randomly walking than a thrown symmetrical piece would be great. So maybe like a square the sides a little bit. All right, base shape 1. I think that looks like a pretty good house for the roof. I want to do a cone roof, and I want it to be kind of, I'm thinking this through as I go here. So I, once upon a time, had aquarium houses for sale in my shop, and people really liked those. I haven't done them in a while. But I don't know. Yeah. I feel like Raku could sort of give me a new love for making fairy houses, because I really think that that sort of dark, metallic, woodsy kind of vibe definitely says magic to me. I do want to go a little thick on these. Not crazy thick, but I know I don't want to roll my slab out too thin, and I do want the thickness of this to match my slab. So trying to go more house-like. Did that look more house-like? Guess from that angle everything looks about the same. I don't know if this one's too big. I guess I can do a small roof on that one. When I took Raku in college, one of the first things I made was sort of this like little Japanese sort of white crackle house, and they had like it's like a thatched roof look to it. And the thatched roof was just like raw blackened Raku clay, and then it had white crackle on the sides. And then there was a spot where the bottom sort of blew off in the reduction chamber, and in the bottom section I took little pieces of driftwood and I glued them on like they were steps going into the house. I wonder if I still have that somewhere. I should look. That bottom's a little thick, I don't know. So I definitely do not get picky with these shapes or with them being perfectly centered or anything. I'm really just sort of saving my time from having to roll out extra clay. All right, so I have rolled out a slab that is 7 millimeters thick, and I have just a general cone-shaped template. I'm going to press in a little bit of a roof texture. to this. Oops, bumping that. Oh, I should have gone deeper. All right, I'm gonna roll it smooth and go a little deeper. The clay with more sand in it, you have to push down a little bit harder. And it also seems to be like a little bit stickier for general purposes here. All right. That looks more roof-like. Okay, and so I have just one of my little cylinder shapes that I threw on the wheel about a couple hours ago at this point. So I'm starting with the basic cylinder, and then I'm going to just sort of adjust the size once I sort of see how it's gonna come together on the piece. And again, I don't want this to look too perfect. I don't want it to look too symmetrical. This is definitely something that I want the hobbled together cottage vibe for. Okay, so here's our little piece. So it'll fit pretty low on that, a little lower than I would like. So I'm just gonna go ahead and adjust that a little bit. I think I might want it overall a little bit squatter too. And if I smooth away too much of the texture when I'm sort of putting it together, then I'll just go ahead and go back in and push a little bit in. So this is the section that I just smoothed together. And I'm just gonna take this and, can I tell the direction? It doesn't even matter. Just put a little bit of texture back onto there. All right. Okay, that's seeming a little bit hat-like, but that's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and make this a little less symmetrical. I'm going to just use a little door mold. This is just a cake mold from Amazon. It's just if you search fairy door mold, you'll probably see a whole bunch of these. And they work great, these silicone cake molds, for things like this. I guess the question mark will be whether or not it stays on well during the Raku process, because that's kind of an intensive process, right? And you're just sort of sticking things on. So as to whether that thermal shock will separate any of these little pieces, I'm not sure. Hopefully not. I'm going to go ahead and cut some holes in here for sort of windows, but also to sort of help me attach the roof. This clay is really a little bit wet to be working with, but it's okay. All right, let's see if this angle is helpful. So here we have our doors, some couple little holes for windows. And we've got our roof. And now we just need kind of a chimney, I think. Chimney, chimney, chimney. I'm just going to use something over here maybe. And you could cut this into any sort of square shape. Just kind of joining this. And I do want it to be big enough though that some smoke could escape through it. So I probably should have put a pen in the middle, because that would be the better way to do that. Hey, it's been a while since I made these on Christmas. So I usually will cut a diagonal into the base so that I can sort of have it placed on the roof like that. Just go ahead right here and put it. And there's that there. Okay. And then once it's on, I'm going to go ahead and cut out that middle spot there. And just smooth the inside, make sure it's all really well attached. And that looks pretty good. I'm going to stick it on here and hopefully get it to attach. Now this is really a little bit wetter than I like to work with, but it does make some things go a little bit easier as far as attaching goes. And I could plastic wrap these tonight and work on it tomorrow, except my schedule is not going to really allow for that, so I am going to try to get these done tonight. I kind of like this indent here. It makes me think that this looking of a, maybe I'm going to do that. It looks like a tree vine growing up the side, so I'm just going to go ahead and put a tree vine right here. And I'm kind of holding it from the back side because the bottom really needs to dry another hour before I do this, but I am not taking the time. All right. That looks good. Okay. And then let's see if I have enough room to put a big hole in the back. I don't know if I do. I'm gonna do it anyway. Okay, so let's attach this roof. What's the front side? I guess that's the front side. Okay. So I'm just reaching in through the hole I've put in the back, which is where you would also put your incense in. And I am trying to combine the two together in there. Sort of stick that clay together as best as I can, and we're going to hope for the best and that the Raku kiln gods are kind. There's another one. Mini houses are out of the bisque kiln. These have been fired to cone 04. This one has some terra siglata on the outside. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. So because I'm firing these in the mini kiln, I kind of get to do a little bit of trial and error to see what works, so I don't have to make the decision on how I'm going to glaze all of them right away before I see some results. So this is going to be the first house that I'm trying, and my thought is here I'm going to kind of do a naked raku technique on this portion of the house. So I'm going to put some slip resist here. For the door, I'm going to use Mako's Raku Oil Slick. And then on the roof, I'm going to use some of Mako's White Crackle and Spectrum's just Raku Red. I'm going to put the White Crackle all over the roof except for the chimney. I think that most of these I'm probably going to do the very traditional metallic looking dark Raku glaze on the roof. But I don't know, I was feeling like something different for this one. While that's drying, I'm going to try to put a little bit on the door here. Now, since the top is also going to have a coat of red all over it, I just want to get a little extra on the chimney so I don't have to be incredibly careful with this application right here. I'm gonna just put I think 2 coats of red over the white crackle. Oops. Still a spot of white crackle that's wet, I see. So the chimney in the end will have 3 coats of red crackle. I'm really hoping that this still will show the texture and that this red will kind of pool a little bit. But if it doesn't show the texture, I have some more to try after this. For this one, I'm doing just a really light single brush of oil slick in some places on the bare clay. So I want this to be mostly just sort of black matte, but I definitely I think it would be cool if there was a hint of like some sparkle there. So I don't know if I'm doing that too thick or not, but so right now this is oil slick here and oil slick on the door, and I've got 2 coats of each with a little teeny bit of red right here. All right, let's see if 2 of these houses can fit in the mini kiln. This one. So this is the one that I'm going to be trying the sort of naked Raku on. I'm going to try to put this slip resist kind of, oopsie, I think I don't want it on that glaze. Kind of getting that on thick. And I think it wants to be kind of wet when it goes in, so hopefully that will be the right thing. Push that back just a little bit, make sure the roofs aren't touching. All right, there they are, all ready to go. All right, I know the screen is flickering on the video, but it's not in person. I'm setting this to 1020 right now. All right, while we're waiting for it to come up to temperature, I'm gonna have to be really careful with the one with slip resist. I wanna try to not knock off the slip resist. So I'm gonna set it right here, and then I'm gonna put this over top. Hopefully that's gonna be enough burning to make it smoky and black. The other house I'm just gonna go ahead and put right in here. That's some pine shavings and newspaper. Try to put a little bit more over top and then close it up. So the idea is when I'm taking this out to not knock all the slip resist off with the tongs. I don't know, that's gonna be really hard to do. So I'm gonna try to pick up the first house, at least the slip resist house, by the roof. Hopefully that won't thermal shock the roof right off of it. We'll see. All right, just about there. Wish me luck. Okay, if I mess up, it's not a huge big deal. I have more of these to try it with. All right, let's peek. Okay, looks hopeful. Okay, clicking it off. Okay, the slip resist one is in the front, so that's gonna be the hard to take out one. Okay, I'm gonna take it by the roof, hopefully. Ooh. Okay. I don't know if you can see it over there. There we go. Let's put this one back in for a second. All right. All right, this one, I don't think it matters where I grab it. Oop. Okay. Ooh, I probably should have put it upright instead of on its side. Oh well. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and burp this one, see if it, woo! That scared me. Oh, I hope it cracks off. Uh-oh. Doesn't look very white underneath. I wonder if I did it too thick. Don't think I got my resist to work quite right. It's definitely coming off a lot easier. I think the terrace stick underneath is the right thing, but it's not quite as dramatic as a speckling as like what I was thinking it was going to be. All right, there's a bit of noise out here, but we're going to pull this one anyway. All right. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. It's really interesting where the oil slick glaze is thin, it's still really shiny. And when it goes over the white, it's a green crackle right there. So I wasn't thinking I was going to like this one better, but I think I definitely do out of the two. For the last group of houses, I have a lot of commercial Raku glazes at this point. So I'm going to try to showcase 3 different Raku glazes on each of the last houses so that you can kind of get an idea for some Raku glaze combos that you might like to do in the future yourself. I'm going to start with Raku yellow here on this base. My thought is maybe I'm going to do sort of a one color on the house part, a different color on the roof part. But yes, 3 colors on each house would be great. And so what I've been learning too is that these Raku glazes don't really run. They're just, since it's a lower temperature fire, you're not worried about so much it hitting your shelf, so you can go a little thicker with your application. I'm going to go ahead and go white crackle on the roof of my yellow house. As you can see, this is a pretty thick coat of white crackle going on. So I'm probably only going to do one more over top of this just to fill it in a little bit more. For the door, I'm going with a bit of Starry Night by Spectrum. The white crackle on the roof is the Mako glaze. I feel like all the major companies have a white crackle Raku glaze. This one just happens to be the Mako one because it's the most affordable. There's that. I think that's probably thick enough. I'm hoping that the texture of the roof is still going to show through. It's kind of a shallow texture, so I think I'm just going to stick to the 2 coats of this glaze and hope that some of my texture will still show. Some of these glazes I just bought very small containers of because I wasn't sure if I'd like them or not. Lime was not a color I felt like that I'd definitely use enough to justify a larger container. But we will test it out in case there's any lime color lovers out there. For the roof, I'm going to do oil slick. That's Mako's oil slick. For the chimney here, I'm just going to go ahead and hit Starry Night on it, for lack of a better idea. And I still have a brush in that one, so it wins by default. For this one, I'm going to do a combination of Galaxy and Oxblood. And I think I might try Galaxy all over and then Oxblood over top of that in places to see if it'll create more movement or do anything fun. No. Enough room to get in there. There we go. There we go. These are looking pretty cool down in the bottom. Oh, that looks really cool. Alright, all of the little fairy houses are out of the kiln. I think they're looking pretty good. Got some different variations in there. A few little Raku mushrooms in the village. Those are some of the first ones in the back. For this one, the door is Cobalt Blue by Spectrum. That's Aqua by Spectrum. And then I have a light application of Mako's White Crackle. The chimney is left just raw clay. So my application of the White Crackle, you can kind of see here that it was just kind of over the tips and these parts were left unglazed. This was Galaxy all over. Interesting that Galaxy, where it touched the shavings, went very copper and a lot more just sort of plain green here. This does have a layer of oxblood over this section, and then the roof, not the roof, I'm sorry, the chimney and the door are plain oxblood. I put a little bit of White Crackle on this tree, and I think there's something interesting there about what the White Crackle is doing with the oxblood, so that's possibly something to investigate. This one, I wish I had done something other than White Crackle on this door. I may make it gold in a luster fire. This is Peacock Matte on this section, ×2. Also Peacock Matte on this chimney, and you can see here the Peacock Matte always wants to bubble and act bad, and it didn't do well where it met the other glaze either. So I'm probably going to sand that down a little bit, see what it looks like after. This was Cobalt Blue by Spectrum on the top. Peacock Matte is by Mako, White Crackle by Mako. And I have not had great luck with their Peacock Matte glaze. I think I may be just a little hot with it. It seems to be a glaze that maybe wants cooler temperatures, lighter application, whereas a lot of these other ones want it a little bit warmer. So this is the Spectrum's Yellow Crackle Raku glaze there on the bottom. The roof is White Crackle. You know, and I will say the White Crackle is a very opaque white. I almost prefer the clear crackle for this. I think it shows a little bit more of the cracks and a little bit more of that smokiness. So for the texture, I think clear crackle might have been a better choice here. Not that I don't love this little house, but something to consider if you're choosing between buying the two. This is Starry Night here and here. The difference being the Starry Night had more combustibles on it around the chimney, and here not so much. So I believe the chimney here, Starry Night, Aqua Blue here, and then the door is Grapple. That is a Stroke and Coat by Mako. So those are working at this temperature, if that's something that you're interested in trying. Starry Night, where it was getting hit by the flames a little harder. Now for this one we have Lime on the bottom here, oil slick by Mako on the roof. Lime was a spectrum glaze. Really interesting though that this, do you see this gold that happened? I'm really not sure why the lime has these sort of lines of gold in it. Very interesting. Yes, so oil slick here. This one's oil slick with just a little bit of white crackle, and oil slick here, but with a little bit of starry night here as well. So I think that oil slick went up a little bit, but it is starry night. And this one was from before, and this was aqua blue, starry night, a little bit of my blue fire glaze. This is some cobalt blue, a little bit of a mismatch there. That one's really cute. So I really do like these little houses. I think this is a super fun project for Raku. Just something, you know, it's sculptural. You don't have to worry about it holding water, but yeah, just really cute. Something about fairy houses and using Raku. Yeah, it just adds to the magic. I know I said that about the fairies too, but I really think so with these Raku houses, that they're just really charming and even more unique because of the firing process. So if you're looking for some glaze combos to try out in your little mini Raku kiln, definitely, definitely try this out. If you'd like to see more about the Vever kiln review, I have a whole Raku video I did on that, on how to sort of get started if you're looking for some of the technicals on that. Here in Maine, it's starting to get more chilly at night, so the temperature for doing Raku is even more fun. It's sort of that, you know, bonfire fall pumpkin spice vibe. And I think fairy houses are a good pairing with that. So thanks for watching, everybody. I'd love it if you liked and subscribed. Have a good day.